Well, there's a big storm moving through the Northeast. Right now, just raining along the coast, but we could get a foot of snow by the time it's all done, and that's why we've called in Judge Napolitano, because he's got a good, strong back. You got your shovel?
I want Janice's giant, New York Giant hat.
Right.
That is a great hat.
And when she puts the hat on, you know a storm's coming. Judge,
I have to fight her for it.
Yeah, let's talk about the storm that's happened on the West Coast. We saw Shannon Bream take her show out there, and the Attorney General go out there. How did California and the country end up and the federal government end up in a standoff?
Well, the standoff is over sanctuary cities, and the standoff is over money. So the legal standoff is this. California enacted 3 statutes. One of them just studies the way the federal government interacts with the states. That's not what we're worried about. We're worried about a statute that prohibits state, county, and local employees from communicating with federal authorities. And even more troublesome is a statute that prohibits private business owners from communicating to the feds. You own a shop, a restaurant, a bookstore, a clothing store, and the feds walk in your store and say, by the way, Lisa, do you employ any illegals or do you know of any people around here? If you answer, no matter what the answer is, you've committed a crime under California law. Well, how could that be? The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, and that applies to the states. So that challenge, I think, will succeed. But the more troublesome one is, can California direct its employees not to cooperate with the feds, with ICE, with respect to illegal immigrants?
No.
Sure.
Verbally, yes. Physically, no. What do I mean by that? They can't hide an immigrant. They can't harbor an immigrant. That's a crime. But they can refuse to answer.
Right.
Now, there's a way around this. Republicans control both houses of the Congress. The way around it is money. Hey, City of San Francisco, you want $100 million for your Board of Education? Sure. You want $100 million for new police cars? Fine, they'll take the money. But there's a string attached. Thou shalt cooperate with ICE. Once they take the money, they have to cooperate.
So later today at 8:05 this morning, Jeff Sessions is going out to California, and he's speaking before a law enforcement group, and he's going to announce that the federal government is suing California over these 3 laws.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. If a state passes a law, it's legal in that state.
Right.
But then you've got the federal government with the supremacy rule.
Correct.
So who wins?
Generally, the feds win, particularly in an area where the feds have supremacy, which is immigration, because it's foreign policy.
So does this end the sanctuary city, sanctuary state business?
The best way to end it is with money, the way that I just described, because lawsuits take a long time. I am happy they're filing the lawsuits. I'm happy because the president's been asking for it. He's been asking for it in his tweets. He's been asking for it in private. I understand the president's frustration. We were talking about this before the break. I really think if they pass a Trump budget and give all these cities all the money that they've been getting under the Obama years with these strings attached, you know they're cash strapped. They'll never say no to the cash. Once they take the cash, they'll have to cooperate.
Yeah.
Well, and Judge, another topic. So Congressman Gowdy and Goodlatte are now calling for a second special counsel. We've seen this is an increase in calls from people like Nunez and others. Gowdy says that the reason being is there are certain witnesses that the investor, or actually take a listen to this real quick.
What changed for me was the knowledge that there are 24 witnesses that Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, would not have access to. So your options are DOJ investigated themselves. They can't do that because of conflict of interest. Let the Inspector General do it. Now, I'm a big fan of Mike Horowitz, but he has no jurisdiction over witnesses. When I counted up 24 witnesses that he would not be able to access were he to investigate it, you have only one conclusion, that's special counsel.
Who's on that list?
Anyone who no longer works for the Department of Justice or the FBI. State Department, you may recall a couple of weeks ago there was some indication that State Department employees were feeding information to Fusion GPS. They would be outside the reach of the Inspector General.
Does Trey Gowdy make a strong point?
Yes, he does. The Inspector General, who is a very decent guy, was the Inspector General under George W. Bush as well as Barack Obama, is basically think of it as internal affairs in a police department. It's a mini DOJ within the DOJ, investigates the rest of the DOJ. But if you've left your job, like Andrew McCabe or James Comey,
can't get him.
Right, he doesn't have authority to bring them in, ask them questions, demand their documents. That's Trey Gowdy's point. A special counsel would. Now, full disclosure, I am fearful of special counsels, because history shows that they do all sorts of things just to justify their existence.
And we're seeing it now, aren't we?
Right. The initial indictments had to do with money laundering long before Trump was a candidate and had nothing to do with him. Do we really want another special counsel? Or do we want Bob Mueller to look at this? That would actually save a great deal of money.
Wouldn't Sessions pick the special counsel?
Well, it involves Russia, and did he recuse himself? That means that Rod Rosenstein would pick. But who signed off on the fourth FISA application? Rod Rosenstein. Is he going to appoint somebody to investigate himself? These are the conflicts that keep coming up.
But isn't the concern with Mueller that, there's already, his investigation is already too wide-ranging? So wouldn't that add to that?
Yes, it would, Lisa, but it would save the government a lot of money because these special counsels take a long time to gear up. Bob Mueller already has a dozen or so prosecutors and a few dozen FBI agents working for him.
But if your interest is getting answers.
I have been a harsh critic of FISA. I believe the abuse has been going on since 1978. Having signed warrants when the FISA became law, having signed warrants myself, I never heard of a judge or team of judges that grants 99.96% of all applications. This is what happens when the court meets in secret and there's no adversary. So I think FISA needs to go. But I also think that these abuses need to be exposed. The American public needs to know who in the government is abusing their rights, who used the power of the government to frustrate the candidacy of Donald Trump.
Who leaks?
Correct.
That's the big question as well, because listen to Trey Gowdy on this.
Anyone who's watched Congress over the last 12 months, we leak like sieves, and I say weak only because I'm a member of Congress. Serious investigations don't leak. The executive branch investigations, whether it's your local district attorney or whether it's Bob Mueller, there are far fewer leaks from Bob Mueller than there are from Adam Schiff.
So that he's indicting his own body.
I share his frustration. I personally know of the president's frustration. And having been in the government myself, it is deeply frustrating when everybody in a room, finite number of people, agrees that something has to be kept secret, and 15 minutes later it's out there, and you don't know how the heck it got out. But Adam Schiff has a certain protection. It's called the Speech and Debate Clause. Members of Congress cannot be prosecuted either criminally, they can't be sued civilly, they can't be prosecuted ethically for what they say in furtherance of their work.
But isn't that on the floor of the House?
Doesn't have to be on the floor. It can be on the way to the floor, or it can be in pursuit of committee work.
Judge,
translation, he can leak.
Yes,
and he does.
Yes.
The Mueller investigation, it moved overseas to the Middle East. A envoy representing the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates, he evidently is becoming a state's witness for Robert Mueller.
In the past 3 weeks, Brian, Mueller got 3 cash cows, so to speak. Rick Gates, Sam Nunberg, and now this guy, George Nader. These people just, not Gates, but Nader and Nunberg just came out of the blue, now suddenly cooperating with Mueller, telling him whatever they know, good, bad, or indifferent. Candidly, the UAE thing is brand new to me, but apparently George Nader, not Ralph, was some sort of a conduit between the campaign and the UAE. No crime unless the campaign accepted something of value. That's the language in the statute, something of value. Could be a piece of paper, could be cash, could be electronic data from a foreign national or a foreign government.
Right.
So whether that happened or not, I don't know.
And we'll see where this goes.
And whether they lead to collusion or not is also a question.
Right. The collusion part would be Donald Trump know about it and approve it.
And so far, the people who have gotten in trouble with Mueller, not related to collusion, related to stuff that happened a long time ago.
There you go.
Or lying to
Right. And Gary Cohn leaving. Do you know Larry Kudlow? Do you think Larry Kudlow would do a good job?
I know. Don't misread me, and love Larry Kudlow. Larry Kudlow is a serious free market person, more free market than Gary Cohn.
He hates the tariffs.
Yes, I don't know that the president's going to go in that direction. I would love it if he did, but Kudlow would have the same problem that Cohn did.
Well, it started out as a discussion on the law and wound up economics.
There you go.
Right.
Judge, thank you very much.
This is a very important
Always a
couch.
pleasure.
Yes.
All right.
Judge, you have
Lisa,
full access.
pleasure.
We're snowbound. Thank you, Judge.
Where's Jillian?
She's right there behind you with the news.
Right.